Hello and welcome to Auto Shenanigans. How the devil are you? Have you had a good week? My name is John. Thank you very much for joining me for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. This week I've come to Scunthorpe again, and today we're going to look at the 3/4 mile long A1077M motorway. If you've never heard of the A1077M motorway, don't worry about it, because whilst it was built in 1978, it didn't exist until 2021. Up until that point, the A1077M was part of the M181 motorway, but things all changed when North Lincolnshire Council announced that they intend to redevelop the countryside in the area with 6,000 houses and several other buildings. It's called the Lincolnshire Lakes Project, and it's been in the works for about 10 years. Part of the project involves building 2 new junctions on the M181, except they're not junctions, they're roundabouts. The first of which has already been completed, splitting the M181 motorway into 2 sections. The southern section for now shall be remaining as the M181, but the northern section was renumbered as the A1077M, and that's where we get this motorway from. It's the same road as before, just with a different road number, and it's possible in the not too distant future that road number might change again. Once they build the second roundabout or junction as they intend to, it'll sit further south on the M181, and this will allow the A1077M to be reclassified as an A road, and in this case it'll serve as an extension for the A1077. So whilst today we're looking at the A1077M, it's very possible that in the future it won't exist. The Brumby Common Lane roundabout, aka the Troublemaker, was the first junction or roundabout to be installed on the M181, which led to it being split into 2 sections. Currently it doesn't have any other connections other than the motorways. I assume it's awaiting 6,000 houses, but for us it marks the start of the A1077M. Let's talk about drainage. A short distance from the roundabout and the A1077M passes over the Earl Beauchamp warping drain, which sounds amazing, but on investigation it's not. Warping is an agricultural practice where you intentionally allow a river to flood the land so that its suspended sediment settles on the land, forming a nice layer of fertile soil. You then drain off the water and boom, you've got a field ready for the next crop. It was common practice for drainage channels to be named after the landowner, in this case Earl Beauchamp. Of course, in order for this process to work, you need a nice big river to flood the land, and luckily next door is the River Trent, which is happy to take care of business, although hopefully not after they've built 6,000 houses on its floodplains. As we approach the end of the A1077M, the motorway passes underneath a railway, which, if we follow along for a short distance, we find the incredible 930 metre long 84-arch Frodingham Viaduct. It was built in 1864 for the Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railway, and I'm sure you'd agree it's a beautiful structure, except we've no idea because they buried it. Underneath what appears to be some embanking lies this 160-year-old structure. Why was it buried, I hear you ask? Details are limited, but from what I gather, the ground underneath the viaduct isn't the most stable, and they sort of didn't build proper foundations for the structure. In the early 1900s, it was discovered that the viaduct would most likely collapse due to the increasing weight of the trains passing over it, so they buried the structure to keep it in one piece, and if they hadn't done so, the whole thing would have probably come down. It seems like such a simple solution, but it obviously worked because the viaduct is still standing and just about pokes up over the top. Underneath here, there's more viaduct. As a result of their efforts, the viaduct has been able to remain open and still carries trains to this very day. There are a few of the viaduct's arches still exposed as the railway crosses over Scota Road. However, it looks like it's had some modern reinforcement work done, so it's a bit of a horrible mix between concrete and the original brickwork. Still, if it keeps the whole thing standing, that'll do. The A1077M comes to an end at a roundabout where it meets the A18 and the A1077. As mentioned earlier, the A1077M may not be around for much longer. Once there are some new houses and road connections, then the A1077M will most likely become an extension of the A1077, albeit with some no stopping at any time sort of regulations. But I'm pleased we documented this motorway whilst we still had a chance. And there we are then, guys. That's all I've got for this week. Short and sweet, but that's the A1077M. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, there is of course a button specifically for that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. That would be quick and sweet awesome. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever it is you get up to. My name's John, you've been watching Auto Shenanigans, and I'll see you next time for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. Till then, take care, bye-bye. So that its suspended sediment, where its suspended settlement will, no, suspended sediment, so that its suspended sediment settles, so that its suspended sediment, so that its suspended settlement, no, sediment, so that its suspended suspended sediment, so that its suspended sediment settles on the land.